I am Dr. Amira Quelli. I am your holistic healer. I do readings, herbs, teas, candles, life coaching, advice, chakra cleansing, negativity removals, and almost any form of healing apparatus. Contact me if you need any help.
Hey guys, hi, I'm Dr. Amira Sankofa Kwali, and I'm here in this wonderful world. I guess, I don't know. I try to look for hope. I try to find hope. First of all, y'all probably gonna hear my son upset with the game. Today is a free, well, not really a free day for him, but he was able to get all his homework done before today, so he really didn't have any homework today. So I'm basically letting him play the game because he got his homework Monday through Friday done. He completed it all yesterday. He did two uh Mondays, Tuesdays work on Monday, and Wednesdays and Thursdays work, and then Thursdays and Friday work yesterday. So we managed to get everything done because being a mother, y'all, and doing online homeschooling is not the easiest, right? Because you damn near the teacher. You really are the teacher. And so this week was really hard for me. We lost a family member, a very close family member. I don't want to necessarily talk about that. Not that it's just I'm so heartbroken over it. It does, I do feel the ways, but I mean, life and death does come. But we don't, my family. I don't know my family that I was biologically linked to. We don't necessarily discuss certain things, and I don't want to exploit them in talking about that. And it's not saying that when I mention certain family members who have passed in the past that it was any form of expectation or exploitation. However, I don't want to with this particular one, right? So you can hear my son yelling in the background. So he's in there playing his game, so he deserved it. He worked really hard, so I'm not bothering him until he's ready to eat. So this is his free fall day. He worked very hard this week. Plus, he went to the dentist and he didn't have any cavities, so I'm really proud of that. Not that you get rewards for that, but I mean, good job. So, and as you can see, I have my sage burning, right? So definitely picking up if you go to my website www.ask314life.com. I'm sorry, trying to get his attention without stopping what I'm doing because he's in there fighting. I wish he has to calm down because it's just a game, right? Because he's going to get off of that game if he keeps getting upset like that because it's not that serious. Anywho, especially when it's not like you have to pay money to play. You know what I mean? If it was a quarter, I probably could understand, or $1, whatever. So you get many more chances. So, anywho, I've been really thinking about things, and in dealing with a lot of things, I think that I have I still support my sisters here of the so-called reaction channels, or my reactionary sisters who do reactions on the mommy sector. I definitely do support them. And we have really good creative conversations. But I kind of want to touch on a couple of things before we get really started into the thick of things. And I do find that something that really helps me to understand things, and part of my understanding of things is this. I I think a lot of times certain mothers feel like, or certain parents, it's not just mothers, it's parents. A lot of times with parents, we tend to um think that when they're small that we are mommy, they need us. But one of the things I found out, see, I have different generations as children. I have small children. I have a small child, right? I have a growing family. So I have a small child. I'm a grandmother of smaller children and a teenager. Excuse me. And I have also older children. I have grown children who I have a couple that's in their I have one that's in his late 20s and a couple of them that's in their late 30s. So one of the things that I find is that sometimes your children are going to always need you. And as a mother, we're always worried. And we worry about our children. We worry about our children when they go out, even if whether they're grown, have their own home and outside of the house, outside of your home. We worry when our children send our children off to visit other parents, or if you have grandparents and your children, or you have parents and your children go to see and visit your grandparents. We worry. So it's just a part of the game. We never, as a mother or as a father, um, we never stop worrying about our children. We never stop um, having to deal with certain elements in being a parent. And for me, I still I still get concerned with my children. I still, now whether or not I share that with them or tell that to them, but again, me being a healer and me being able to be in tune with them and feeling certain aspects of them and their energy, I worry. I worry. And I think that children, whether they're grown or not, I do find that a lot of times they go through different stages. And sometimes during certain stages of their existence, you're going to find children when they're finding themselves. A lot of times with our children, they go through stages of finding themselves. Sometimes we as an adults, we still are finding ourselves, and that's okay. But it still can be scarier times, especially during today's society. And it's a bit of concern when our children, or whether they're grown or not, when they go out here and face the world, whether they're at work, whether they're someplace they shouldn't be, or whether they're just innocent in just going to the gas station, because there's so much that's happening. And there's so many people who don't have any love or care or um for someone else's life, because they don't have any love or expectations for their own life, right? So I do find it to be a scary era, right? So with that said, let's continue on. One of the things that I noticed here on social media is that I do look at a lot of family channels. I am subscribed to a lot of family channels, and I do like watching certain family channels that or positive. I'm not necessarily subscribed to certain channels that I may watch on on my sister reactors channels, like the Erics, like Tim Moore, or Love, Lies, and Lace Fronts, right? I don't necessarily, I don't watch those uh channels that we're watching together. I watch it through the reactors and the channels I just mentioned. I will watch their channels to see what's going on, but on terms of me just outright going to that particular person's channel. And don't get twisted, I have been subscribed to certain channels before I actually knew what was going on. And sometimes I might still be subscribed to some that I thought I might have got rid of. I think I'm still subscribed to my jazzed up life or something. I need to unsubscribe because I don't even watch it. I can never remember the channel, and I forget a lot of times to unsubscribe to certain channels. And sometimes I watch different channels for different reasons. For example, it's this one sister on her name is, I think it's Tabitha Brown or Tamala. I can't remember her name exactly. But the reason why I subscribed to her channel originally was because she's a vegan. So she makes different vegan meals, and a lot of times as vegans, you are, is that it can become mundane. It can become boring, and in cooking, especially if you've been a vegan or a vegetarian for a very long time, as long as I've been a vegetarian, I have to turn a lot of times switch it up because it can get boring, right? So I will gladly switch up that vegan those vegan dishes. And then I have a family that I cook for. See, not only am I a eater of this cuisine, but also I'm feeding it to others in my household. So, I have to change it up. I can't keep serving in the same food. I have to switch up certain things. Certain things that they can't necessarily go a week without. If I don't put this into the routine, then they're like, well, what happened to this? Why you ain't do this? And then sometimes my husband make recommendations, and some of his recommendations I may not want to eat, but I'll do it because that's what he wants. Or my son may have certain recommendations that me and my husband are not going to eat, but it just be for him, right? But a lot of times I like to switch up and try new things, and see what my family, may enjoy. How you doing, Mary Blue? Hey. So a lot of times, I will switch it up. And so I find myself watching different channels for different reasons, right? We all have different reasons for watching certain channels. We all do different things for different reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean that we wholeheartedly support this particular channel in the sense of we support everything that they do on these different channels. We may watch it for different reasons. We all watch YouTube for different reasons. And sometimes in watching YouTube and watching social media in general, sometimes it can become overwhelming because, especially if you're seeing the same thing over and over and over. And a lot of times I try my best to, except for the exception of the mommy sector. The mommy sector is not really it's not really fulfilling. It's not really, it's just really gossip, right? A lot of it's gossip or just watching somebody do, you learning what not to do, really. Let's be honest. With a lot of these mommy sectors, not every mommy, right? But the main ones, that we tend to watch, the reactionary, mommy reactionary sector, we tend to watch them for what not to do, right? For conversational purposes. However, it's just not necessarily something that, after a while it can become very, what is the word, it can become annoying after a while, and seeing them do the same old junk over and over and over again. You can only watch so many clean with me. You can only watch so many, of these channels, and different things. And one of the things that I think that in watching these insurgents, my husband sending me some wild texts. So yes, very monstrous. Yes. Man. Oh my God. So I do find out that I can become annoyed, and right now I'm kind of annoyed with a lot of things that is happening within the mommy sector. And it's not the reactors. It's not they haven't done anything. It's not them. It's the material that the mommies are putting out, and it becomes annoying. It's very annoying. It doesn't become annoying. It's very annoying at this point. And it's all lies, and a lot of it, it's like a train wreck. You can only watch a train wrecking for so long, and that's why a lot of the reactors are switching up their content. They're adding new people into the equation because these particular mommies are they're on a course to nowhere. Let's just tell the truth. How you doing, CC? They're on a course to nowhere, and when you're on a course to nowhere, and you're trying to do some things with your life, you're doing progression. I'm a life coach. I'm a healer. I'm a candle maker. I'm going to school for fitness, y'all. I gotta lose this weight. I'm working. I got about one more machine. Okay, I got to buy my treadmill. But I'm going to school to be a fitness instructor and also nutritionist, right? So I'm doing a lot of things in my life. I'm teaching classes on how to become a healer. I'm writing class outline out right now, and I'm going to start selling them on this particular website. On top of the website that I already have two websites. Okay, so and then I homeschool my son, and I do all these different things. I'm a full-time wife. I'm a full-time mother. I'm like over full-time. Is there such word as over full-time? Like, I'm not only taking care of him, I'm providing his school for him. I'm helping him with his homework, doing lessons, educating him on our own on top of that. And plus, I don't really get a break. Only time I really get a break is when my husband's home. And how fair is that if he's working? He's working his tail off. So but we do manage to work it out. He just be like, go. And I don't really go a lot of places. There's so much stuff going on in this world. I don't go places by choice. It's not because I don't want to. It's not that I can't. I don't necessarily want to unless it's planned, unless I'm going somewhere with my children, or my son wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese, or he wants to go to the park or the trampoline park, or different fun things that he want to do. If my son want to do something, or my husband want to do something, whatever, or my children, my older children might want to do something. Fine, I do. And I have a homegirl that we go places. We go out to coffee, and we go out to eat. We go for a drink and things like that. I don't shop in person. I shop online. I go grocery shopping most of the time online, right? I go shopping for my son online, because going to that store, there's too much stuff going on in the store. People coming in there, employees getting upset and shooting up places. I don't have time. And I do believe in self-defense. I promise you. And I'm going to leave it at that. I certainly believe in self-defense. I believe in arms. This state has a right to bear arms, and I believe in bearing arms. But that's a whole nother conversation. And I have my own businesses. Plus I have my own healing center, and it's even to the level of that. Even if having people coming to the healing center, unless I know you, unless you're a client that I've had for a long time, even with that, it's kind of scary, because there's too much going on in this world. There's too many people, and too many people doing crazy things, and not everybody have best intentions. I had one client, I'm telling you. Well, he wasn't really a client because I wouldn't come in, and he kept on just kind of harassing me about coming in, and it was strange. And if you were on the phone, you would understand what I was saying. He was just like, well, I don't understand why you won't be there. COVID is over with. COVID is not over with, first of all. And so, of course, he left me his bad review. But it's just something wasn't righteous with his energy. And it was almost obsessive. And he would call me almost every day. Well, are you going in today? You going in? No, you just had to be there. I'm like, no, but you can order online. You can order online. Because that's where it's mainly for. I'm not doing in-persons anymore right now, unless I know you. It's too much going on. Not just COVID, because my daughter just had COVID, So people can get COVID, y'all. People can still get COVID. COVID has not gone away. Okay, just because Biden declared it over with and he don't want to live his life on fear after they killed a whole bunch of people with the COVID and some of these things that they're implementing and advising people that they have to get, and certain people, what I've noticed is certain people that have had the shot, um, I would just be careful. Remember the Tuskegee experiment. And I'm gonna leave it at that, right? But it's just I don't trust the powers that be to try to get me to do something that is not, is inhumane almost. But that's a whole nother conversation. Um, so let's go there. So let's get into the exploitation aspect. So, in other words, I watched, again, going back to YouTube and social media. I watch a lot of channels, and even with me, even I began to start looking at my own. First, I started looking at myself. Okay, first I had to start looking at myself because I'm one of those who look at self first. I always look at myself first. I don't just go after people and say, well, y'all doing this, well, you doing that, well, what you doing? I look at myself first. And I looked at myself and I thought about it. I'm like, well, am I exploiting my situation? And I had to think about what my motives were, you know. Um, Originally when I first tried to start YouTube, because I have I really started YouTube? No, because I'm not monetized. I can't say that I'm started YouTube, but I did start YouTube like a long time ago, and it was because the PR person I was working with at the time suggested that I start YouTube because I'm good at what I do. Am I good on YouTube? Not necessarily. Just being honest, right? However, I'm good at healing. I'm good at helping people navigate through situations, advice and healing and things like that. So I'm good at that. And plus, I'm not only a client of myself, but I'm also a president. Remember Hot Roll Game commercials? But I've helped people to heal, and I've helped myself heal, and I've gone through a lot in life, like all of us, like majority of us here in the world have gone through things. Trauma does not necessarily have a culture to it. However, I've noticed within the culture of melanated people, we have just DNA wise have gone through some stuff. You hear me? Um, you know, not just financially, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, especially psychologically and physically, and to be taken and murdered and raped and pillaged and all these different things, right? So we've gone through so much, and it has carried on through generations, through generations, through generational, and that's why they call it post-traumatic slavery depression. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of different things, and as black folks or as melanated folks, we're expected to, they're like, you're strong. And yes, I am. We are strong, right? However, just because you're strong does not make what you went through, you still should ask people, how you doing? You okay? You okay? You okay? How do you get through certain things? How do you, um, pick up the pieces? DNA, we have through our DNA, and the keys through our DNA, the tools through our DNA, through the keys and the strands of our DNA, have always had this cope mechanism on how to deal with the worst of the worst. And now we have had generational tragedies that we have been faced with, and some things have been triumphs, right? But we have had to go through different things, and it's be expected to heal fast and get over it and go back to work. I give an example, and I'm gonna share this with you. I worked at this emergency job. I'm not gonna say any names, but it starts with a J. I worked at this hospital and I did registration. First of all, I didn't like it. I thought it was dumb for I didn't like the process, and for you to have to go through all these go through all these stages, entering this, entering that, and going through. I just think I think that a lot of these computer programs are dumb. Instead of them making it easier, it's like they make it harder. Just enter this information, press this, press that, and go to here. I wish a lot of these programmers learn how to make things less complicated. I don't like to look at I don't and I'm a computer and I've gotten a degree. One of my degrees is in computer programming. Excuse me, it's in computers, it's not computer programming. Although we did have to take computer programming class. Okay. However, I think it's so silly to have to go through that. And that's one of the things I don't like about jobs. I like to come into work on a job where I don't have to think. that probably don't make that's why a lot of people do YouTube. But no, I don't like to, I don't like to be stressed out and trying to figure something out. And it just should be, as a, if in having a degree in computers, actually my degree is called micro computer specialist, something or another. And I have associates in that, and that's probably the reason why I didn't go further. I couldn't find a job in it. They kept telling me you're green. Well, how would I get the experience if you don't train me, or if I don't get into a company to do computers? But that's neither here nor there. So I never really used it. I just used it. It just looked good it just looked good for when I went to go to other jobs. Majority of my jobs have been in the healthcare field when I was working, right? And within the healthcare field. And so now that I kind of want to get a job to work from home, just a little quick something that I could just use that to save money. What ended up happening with that is the majority of jobs are not wanting you to work from home. They want you to come in. So that's only places are calling me or the healthcare field jobs. Although I have life coaching experience, advice, customer service, but literally healthcare. That's all they want to hire me for. Because that's because I have a healthcare administration associates also. I got like a gazillion associates, but majority of my higher degrees are in life coaching, counseling, and things like that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point I'm trying to go with this is that what was my point? Oh, God. Oh, so in watching a lot of these channels, I was looking at myself, and I just kind of looked at myself. I was like, well, what was the motive again when I started my YouTube channel? The motive was to bring more awareness to my businesses, to get more clients, to get more people to support my products and what I wanted. That was really it. I'm just going to be all the way clear with you. It was really just that purpose. Go to my website, www.ask314life.com. And euphoric energy llc.com. So that was really the whole purpose of it. Because again, it's kind of like when you get on here and you get to talking, and then I get to thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I feel really weird, and so then I began to start sharing my journey. And I said, well, maybe I should share my journey. I watched a lot of my journey about being adopted, and my journey on my journey on being adopted and participating in the adoption program of being an adoptee and adopting, right? So I wanted to share that journey, so people will kind of understand, and trying to the awareness of people should adopt, even if you have, or you can have biological children, because I do have biological children. I can have more if I want to, but and talking about that and just sharing different aspects of my life of the healing aspect and sharing that with people. And I'm like, man, everybody's doing that, right? Uh, and then I'm like, well, what? And I began to start looking at things, and I'm just like, well, that's my son. I don't want to keep sharing that point of adoption with people, because I mean, who wants, as a child, I didn't hear you adopted. Only time I was reminded of that I was adopted was when we would go to like I would go to the doctor and they would ask my mom questions like, do you know about her? Do you know if she had, if any of, the family member, they would ask her, what did she have, chicken pox, or did she have any high blood pressure, or certain things that would be that a family give. My mother would be like, I don't know because I'm not her biological mom. That's my daughter, but we're not linked biologically. And so that was the only time that there was really discussed. And I didn't really look like my parents. They certainly loved me unconditionally, like beyond love, but people would kind of question because I didn't look like my parents. So that would probably be the only time. So my kid actually looks like my husband. So it's like, so I don't want to keep talking about that. Even going to the dentist, they had in the file, they still didn't have it changed over that, he was adopted. So that kind of irritated me today. Excuse me. And I was like, no. And I kind of stopped her in the track. Like, before she could even get it out, I said, take that out. Take that out. Because that's traumatizing for him to hear that over and over and over again. And so anyway, and so I started sharing that process, and I kind of wanted people, and it was, my intentions were great. My intentions were to talk to people to adopt more, to adopt children, and to maybe even if they had like a family member that may have been struggling or not in the best fit for that child, or whatever the situation for family dynamics was. And if you could step in and help to raise that child, or to raise that child on your own, then I would advise people to do that, right? So that was the whole point of me discussing adoption and telling people, and like when you're going through the adoption process and what you should do, like, and certain things that I had to learn. And I did learn a lot of things by reading the website, because the caseworkers don't tell you much of anything, to be honest with you. You kind of have to ask, because they have like a gazillion clients, and sometimes they don't really care, let's be honest. So I found myself in wanting to, teach people about what they should do, what things that, I went through, and the things they shouldn't do or should do. And so the point was, in talking about that, was sharing, like a circle of sharing, right? And I'm just thinking, at what point of that was it kind of exploitive? I was like, well, look, I don't want to keep talking about my kid being adopted or me being adopted. I mean, that's my mother. I have two mothers. Some people, my mother, I had a choice on who to be a mother, who was a mother to me originally, who was a mother to me once I was adopted. Well, I was 6 months old, but y'all understand what I mean. But my parents chose me. A lot of times, sometimes your parents don't have a choice because they biologically have you, and it is what it is, and you stuck, right? So for me, I was chosen, and so I earn a certain pride in that. And when people like, oh, your mama didn't want you when I was growing up, because children can be cruel. They'd be like, your mama didn't even want you. You adopted. And I'd be like, but my mama chose me. Did you get chose? No, your mama had no choice with your So, you know, so I began to start thinking, like, what part of that is exploitive? Like, am I exploiting my family? Am I exploiting my biological family? Am I exploiting my adopted family? Because, like, a lot of people Once I started sharing, a lot of people did not know that I was adopted. A lot of people did not know until I began to start talking about it. And the reason why I began to start really talking about it, because I was proud about it. Because I was proud that I was adopted. Because I was proud that my mother at 14 years old had sense enough to know that her little young self could not raise me. And she gave me to a wonderful family who was like financially stable, who was mentally, spiritually, and loved me unconditionally. And I went through things, but they was there through what I went through and stood the test of time, you know? So I was just start thinking, and then I start thinking about, am I exploiting my son? You know, am I exploiting him? Because is it my truth? Is it fair for me to display his truth? Because I don't, because nobody is a adopted parent. My mother then was like, "This is my adopted son," because that's not how we. That's not the conversation we have. And I wish any of my children would introduce my kid like that. They don't. They be like, "This is my little brother," Um. So, and so I tried to remove. I had like one thing on there, and I removed it. I did a video with me and my son. I got one on there that I should have, that I couldn't remove. It wouldn't, YouTube wouldn't for some reason let me remove it. I'm gonna try to remove it. But I did like some other videos and I edited, and I don't even know how to edit for real. Yeah, I just kind of did my best to edit. So and I posted it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start this YouTube channel. I'm gonna start a mommy channel, and it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna be able to earn the extra little extra income. And then I can also, create to bring people, draw people to my website so they can see my healing journey. And I was just like, and then I just began to think about it, and I was like, no, because I started watching a lot of these channels, and I think Jasmine really, my Jazzy Life, really helped me to understand that no means no, right? And like, no, for real, no means no, because once I started watching a lot of these other adopted channels, it's this one lady that I talked to that has a channel, but she really is on her channel, and she was a caseworker. She was a caseworker, and she adopted a kid, and she talked about how that journey was and what she went through, and I appreciated that. And then she did show the child after she adopted him, and they did like a couple of videos, but then you didn't see her no more. And so I said, well, dang, what happened to your channel? You don't have any content up there. And she told me, she's like, well, I don't know. She's like, she don't really have much time to, really do any videos at this time. And I was like, dang. I was like, I really think that I think that sometimes you can become very exploitive, and I think that people chase, and I chase. Don't get it twisted. I do chase money. At times, I do chase money. I do, but some money I just don't need. Like I told you all. I told you all that I'm not, some of my clients, we want to spend $3, $4, $2, and they want me to travel 15 minutes, 15 to 10 minutes, and gas is high for $5.99, because a lot of my stuff is uh reasonable. A lot of my stuff, my prices are very reasonable, and it's like nobody's gonna ready to do all that, for just that much. So if I was chasing money like that, I'd have been there. I would be there all day, but I'm not there at my healing center all day because I got stuff to do around the house, and it's unfair to sit my kid up in the healing center all that time to be instead of the own comfort of his home, where he has room, he has everything he needs in his house. Food, water, shelter, the restroom. And I have a restroom in my healing center, but still, he can play his game if he wants to. He can read books. He can watch TV. And I just don't necessarily have that at the healing center. Yes, I can bring a laptop in and things like that. Yes, it's a bathroom, but it's not. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. That's somebody calling me. Anyway, so, you know, I'm just like, it's really exploitive. And I started watching like this is I don't know if y'all ever saw these channels. This is channel, it's two channels that have adopted. They have like they have like a few biological children, but for the most part they have like a large family, like 15 to something odd children that they have some of them are biological, but majority of them, they only have a small few that are biological, and then they have some that are adopted. And I watched their channel, and I did learn a lot about adoption through those channels. um but I really began to start looking at it, and I'm just, and it's certain, this last time, I'm telling y'all, yesterday I watched a video called Crazy Pieces. I don't know if y'all ever heard that. How you doing, Peace? And how you doing, Miss Rada? So I began to look at that channel, and they were on there, and they were discussing like a lot of the stories. So a lot of the children discussed their stories and how they became adopted and how they got into a situation. And I'm just like, well, dang, is she pushing them to do that? I'm like, are the parents pushing these children to put that content out? It really, or is this something they just want to share because they feel like they're helping? Um, I don't know. It looks exploitive. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it's not. It doesn't have the saying of exploitation, because there's certain things. Once it's out there in YouTube land, you can't take it back. Once you, yes. Okay, go play it. Okay. Okay, yeah. I don't know why he started talking to me while I'm online, but it's okay. Let y'all have to bear with me because mommy's first. Don't come over here on this camera. I don't want you on this camera. No. What's going on? I'm on the YouTube. Don't come over here on this camera. I just done told you. YouTube? Yeah, I don't want you on the camera. I'm talking to YouTube. Okay, go play your game.
That's weird because I was talking to YouTube.
Okay, well, people, you don't say none of those other. First of all, you don't say nothing about those other YouTube channels that you watch. You don't say that they're weird when they talk to YouTube. I guess I'm gonna tell me I'm weird for talking to YouTube, but then okay, and you watch YouTube too. And when you watch YouTube, they have to talk to the YouTube channel in order to get people to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, by the way, y'all. Whatever. Is it something? Anyway, so a lot of times I find that, so I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow. They're talking about, their adoption situation and how they got into the homes, and it just becomes exploitive almost. I'm like, well, dang, because again, once it's out there to the whole entire world, it's out there to the whole entire world. And so it's no taking it back. Even you delete something, it's still out there because all somebody got to do is screen record, And yes, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. I've posted certain things that I thought about. I was like, I'm taking this down. This is not a good look, right? So another thing was, the shorts. Do I think the shorts are exploded? It just depends. I think it depends on the intentions. It depends on and what you're doing. But looking at my jazzy life is it becomes real sickening. And I think this last little display of her and how you doing, Muslim? Greens to you. I think this last little bit of my nose was itching. Okay. I had to scratch it. This last display of, hold on, for somebody say something. I got hand sanitizer. Let me see. Y'all can't see it. Okay. Okay. So this last little situation that had occurred did put me into, how you doing, Pure International Intentions? I'm sorry. This last display definitely put me into the mindset of what is really going on. Like, not necessarily with her personal life, but yes, I get that. I admire people taking something out of nothing and making something work. Making lemons, from taking lemons and making them into lemonade. We as people have always done that. When the slave master would give them scraps, what it many of the so-called slaves do, they would take those scraps and make it into a full meal so they could survive, right? So understandable. So I'm not mad at a lot of women or a lot of families doing YouTube, because because it can help you to earn a living for your family, and there's also a way for you to be able to connect with your children and to be able to stay at home and have a flexible schedule and being able to do different things and being able to make a living. So I'm not knocking, because yes, sometimes by the time you pay for a daycare or a babysitter, um, you are spending a lot of money to get people to babysit children. Yes, it costs, which is partly, well, that's not a reason why I don't have a nanny. The reason why I don't have a nanny because I don't trust somebody with my kid. I'm gonna be honest with you. But sometimes I do want someone to keep my child so we can do certain things. Anywho, so um it just becomes very questionable, and it's just certain things. So where's the fine line, you all? Where is the fine line drawn in a lot of these content creators that, or these vlogging family channels, what to put out onto YouTube, onto the main media YouTube streets? What do you put out and what not to put out, right? There are certain things, like, let's discuss that. Mad Jazzy Life is the poster child for what not to do here on YouTube. Okay, before I get into that, certain things you can only watch for a certain time. Like, I used to enjoy the clean with me's. I used to like watching channels for the clean with me's, but after a while that can get boring and mundane. And don't get twisted. Yes, I like to clean up. So it would be interesting for me because I love cleaning up, because I love to clean up my home. I like to have a clean home. I like to see other people have a clean home. But what is the point of doing clean with me videos if you're still going to have bugs, roaches, um, possums, or whatever else things that should be on the outdoor of your home and not on the indoors of your house. Now, bugs don't necessarily pay the bills. Even a dog may have potential to have an income, because you can always, if the dog gets pregnant or the dog gets another dog pregnant, guess what? That's a potential to earn money or whatever. And it's a family pet. A lot of y'all consider y'all pets family, part of the family. And that's cool too. I'm not knocking that as well. But there's I like my home to look and smell good at all times. Right. Um, Absolutely, me too. I definitely concur with that, Muslim. Ooh, I concur with that. So a lot of times I find that a lot of folk not necessarily on that page, And Mad Jazzy Life is just kind of like, it's like doing it for the clout, doing it for video, doing it for, and it's like, and then they think a lot of times these family channels or people like her think they own the YouTube street. So if anybody in their family circle, they come out and do a video, then they're like, well, this is my place of business. And, you can't come out here. And it's just exploitive. So you can exploit your family or exploit this particular person. But at the same time, you don't want you exploit everybody else in your life, but you don't want anybody to exploit you. You exploit your children. I mean, there's certain things. Okay, so let's discuss that. What are certain forms of exploitation here on the YouTube streets? Shall I pull up a list, y'all, and we talk about that list? And if y'all have different things that you all see here on the YouTube streets or on social media in general that y'all feel or exploitive, please name them in the chat. Let's talk about it. And we're going to talk about that right now. Now, let me look here on the Google and see what someone says. First of all, What is exploitation? Let's do a small rendition of what the definition kind of is. Um Now, it is the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. And it's a noun. That's what they say. It's a noun. Um, Exploitation. The act of making use and benefiting from resources. So here's an example: the exploitation of migrant workers. The second example, the Bronze Age saw exploitation of gold deposits. So, okay, now, second thing, let's get into forms of exploitation on here on YouTube. Forms of exploitation. Okay. And don't trip with me because I left my notes downstairs, y'all. That I was gonna say. I always do that. I get all live and I get to jabbing and forget. Love you too, son. Um, I get downstairs. I will forget what I'm doing. Filming channels. Exploitation filming channels on YouTube. Okay. Okay. So this came popped up. Problematic forms. Okay. So there are certain. I don't like that necessarily. There are certain things that, if we see, let's go back to before internet even started. Do y'all remember the John Bonet situation? The John Bonet, the child back, this was a long time ago. And a lot of even like with beauty patents, we have to be careful of that. Even Honey Boo Boo, that's whole new level exploitation. Before social media got real popping, right? John Bonet was the poster kid for that as well. Because they had this little girl made up like a doll. She looked like a grown. Some of the makeup and even the gowns were grown looking. And we do have to be careful with putting our children out here, even putting our children on bathing suits. Like I wouldn't even put, how sometimes when you have little girls and they may be little babies, they may be like 5, 6 months, 12 months of what have you, and they may have on no shirt and just a pamper. And a lot of times as mothers, we think this is innocent and we take a picture and we put it on social media, but but you can't control sickos and sick people and how they think and how they maneuver. And a lot of times they will exploit and get off on children in this way. And so I would certainly advise people to not necessarily put a shirt on a kid, really not even having the word of pamper. And this is not saying that the person that these mothers are bad mothers because they do that, because they're trying to be innocent, and a lot of times they don't understand how sick some of these people are, right? Now, I've just read this what I was reading earlier. And it talks about, and this is through Google. It says, what are dangers of YouTube for children? Here are 9 dangers of YouTube for kids. Is this the one I was looking at? Okay, no, that's not what I wanted to look at. No. No. That's not what I was. That's a whole nother topic. Hold on now. I think many exploit their trauma, aka trauma feelings. Yes. I think sometimes it can be out of hand, and there's certain things it's a fine line. It's like, dang, do I really share? It's certain things that's happened to me, but I don't necessarily feel like I would share it. You know, that's what counseling is for. You know, that's I've had counseling for certain things that have occurred to me. Um, Ooh, okay, this is a good. Okay, this is what I was looking at. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back to this. Now, I was reading this article, and it says family YouTube channels are a new kind of unregulated child abuse. Dig that. Mm. Reasons why they are all abuse the victim card. Yep, they do. And sometimes people don't do it as a way of healing, because YouTube is not necessarily, now back in the day YouTube may have been more of a diary, but nowadays not necessarily. You can't use social media as a dear diary. I mean, do you know that movie, that book that they wrote a long time ago called Dear Margaret, It's Me, God, I mean, Dear God, It's Me, Margaret. Like, they're gonna actually come out with a movie like that, the movie of that book. But you know, you need to write a lot of stuff that having you should do a diary as opposed to sharing on YouTube. But because YouTube can't necessarily help you with the healing that you need. Um, and that's what I was saying about how, uh, like channels like crazy pieces and crazy middles, and I'm subscribed to those channels. But a lot of times, a lot of their trauma that they have there, I don't necessarily, know if they have them to do it or the children have them to do it, or what the situation is, or if the children feel like it's necessary or they're being pushed to do it. I'm not sure. I'm not in their family. But what it does, it is trauma. They do share their trauma, and it is sad to hear. And of course, you want to hug and reach out to them, give them a virtual hug, and have some encouraging words to say. But it is kind of scary, because sometimes when you get into relationships, a lot of times people will take what your trauma is and use it against you. But that's a whole nother conversation. This YouTube has made most of the population dependent on non-healthy on a non-healthy level. Yes, you're correct in saying that. Now, Mike, remember that Micah situation, that the lady, she had 8 passengers. Uh, she was they had adopted a little boy, and from some Asian country, and he had some kind of disability. I can't remember if it was autism or whatever the case was. He had a disability, let's say that. And for whatever reason, she got pregnant, and she rehomed the child. What does rehome mean? Rehomed him means after you adopt a child and you find out that you don't really want the child anymore, and you go and be like, hey, come get him, and put him back into the system, which is just as traumatic. And even though he did have some type of disability, don't mean that he wasn't traumatized. So very true. A lot of them exploit their trauma for monetary gains, such as cash apps and gifts for their children. Oh my God. Yes, my Jazzy, like, when is the last time she ever bought her children anything? Only people that really, that's a man. Only time that people really buy her. Only time I've seen her buy her children, her mama gave her the money. That was the only time I actually saw. But again, I don't watch her channel every day, so I don't know. Again, I watch the reactors, so I don't necessarily know if she even buys them something, or maybe she does buy them something occasionally. But who pays the most of the people, or the people in her chat? And the people in her chat really should actually collect, um should all get the Social Security card, should collect taxes on these children, because they don't never hardly have their children. Okay. Now let me get to what I was getting to. Let me finish reading this. Now, paying attention online. Let's see, family channels. Okay, so they had basically rehomed this kid. And what ended up happening was, once she got pregnant, she said it was too much for her to handle. And he had did something to one of their children or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that, because I can't recall all part of the story. But that was certainly very questionable. But everything was all good until she got pregnant. Then it was too much for her all of a sudden. And once you adopt, you kind of figure, just think about your parents. Once your parents raise you, and if they be like, well, this is too much for me, I'm going to let somebody else come in and take this child. You got to think about that kind of stuff. Oh, what'd you say? Jag, get high, so she shouldn't be talking anyway. Oop. Oop. I didn't say that. Muslim said that. Now, one of their sons recently. Check this out. Now it says, according to this article, let me be. I didn't say this. I'm gonna say this article said this. This article, which this was written in, looks like I read to you the title. It says, and then it took the thumbtack from YouTube, and this looks like a petition, what have you, that they were trying to get them off of YouTube. However, let me go back to what I'm saying. I'm just trying to make sure. Now, according to this, what I'm reading, I didn't say this, but according to what I am reading, this is alleged, right? This is alleged. Let me throw up my sign. Give me a second here. Give me 1 minute here. Do I have that sign up there? Hold on now. I don't think, do I have it? Do I have a picture? Hold on, y'all. Give me just a tad bit of a minute here. Give me just a minute. Hold it on. Hold on. Let's see. Where is that at? Give me a second. Boom. There we go. Oh, it won't let me do it. Okay, so let me, because I'm not getting ready to pay, because I don't even be on YouTube like that. Okay. So, anyway, if y'all go to I Am Protected, because this is just an opinion. This is all alleged. Okay. For the record. Okay. But yeah, so give me 1 second here. I need to just try to find the link, and then I'll share it. Give me a second. Freedom of speech. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. Yes, give me a second here. So, and protected. I am protected. These are just my comments, my feelings. This is not actual fact. I can't prove it. This is just all alleged and allegedly. Okay, leave me alone. Anywho, let's move on. I can't find the article. If one of y'all minds find it, throw it up in there. Anyway, I don't feel like I can. I don't feel like it right now, but it's all alleged. According to what I'm reading, it says one of their sons recently exposed them is for referred to me as an excessive form of discipline. At 15-year-old Chad pranked his younger brother, by saying they were going to Disney World. And then he ultimately was punished by being forced to sleep on 2 bean bags. And I think this channel is called the 8-Passenger Van. Okay. This is another channel. So it's some stuff happened with that. I think CPS got involved with that. If I remember correctly, it was just it was bad. I mean, yeah, I say allegedly. It could be, but we just giving our opinions. That's right. Okay. Now, he was punished for a whole 7 months. I remember that. And there was like this petition on change.org. According to this, it says CPS investigated Ruby and Kevin Frank for potential neglect and abuse. There were 12,000 signatures to date, and they're looking to reach 15,000. Okay, so they got to get they got to give more, a little bit more ways to go. So I don't know. I've never watched their channel, so I don't necessarily know. I'm just reading this article. And then there were shocking family YouTube channels have been around for so long with YouTube operation. Um, let's see, what's another polarizing? Now, this is a lot of stuff. We already talked about the Micah situation. I already talked about that. That's in this article as well. I mentioned that before I even talked about that. But even like going on back to now, they have this other girl here on. I don't necessarily know if she's on YouTube, but I do know she's on Bigo, and I don't. Bigo is just a weird place for me. I tried to go on Bigo a couple of times, and it was just too weird for me. And I'm weird. It was just way too weird for me. Now, it's just saying. Now, what is this girl? What is that lady name? What is that girl's name? I can't. I don't know if I can call her a girl or not. But shout out to. Let me think of what this young lady name is. What is her name? Jeez, I cannot think. I should just type in CPS and see what comes up. It's just that's bad. It did come up when I typed in CPS. Okay, Angelic Soul. Now I'm not sure if y'all know who Angelic Soul is. That's bad. I typed in CPS and she automatically came up. That's really not funny, but I don't know. I did laugh, but it's not really funny. Okay. So, oh my God, I tried to watch her channel off of somebody. I mean, she's all over these channels. I mean, people are really talking about her. Shout out to who did I comment in? She's like I said, she's on Bigo. So one of the persons that I found this channel on was, give me a second here. Let me make, because I commented in her post. I think it's logos. Like anyway, so one of the content creators, I went to her channel and commented on it. But I started watching her, and this is I think I went to her channel. I think one of the reactors reacted on her. And I watched a channel where allegedly her child's father, whatever, whooped one of her children, what have you. So I'm not sure what happened with that, but basically he had whooped her, supposedly. And someone called CPS. I'm not sure who, but CPS was called, and the children were taken to a relative's house. I don't remember which relative. I think it was her mom, and different relatives have her and things like that. And so I started trying to watch one of the reactors channels, and they were talking about her, and they was talking about how and they was showing the video, and the video was disturbing. And I did watch a couple of more of the videos, and it was really disturbing. Especially I'm not saying it didn't look right, because like a lot of those platforms, some of those platforms, you have to sit on there for 8 hours in order to get paid. And it's kind of difficult to sit online for 8 hours when you are a active mother, unless you have somebody else in the home that's helping, or your child's able to come in there and talk to you. I don't know. It just was very it was a lot. It was a lot. And it did sounded like, and it just looked like, and I watched, like I said, I watched a few videos of her and her child's father, of one of the children, the oldest one. They were cursing each other out. And I don't know if people understand on a lot of levels that is a form of abuse when you curse out your children, especially when they are young. Calling your children names and things like that, that is a form of abuse. And it just was disturbing, and I don't know. And her whole conversation, I can't even understand her. And they're gonna get twisted. I'm Midwestern, so I do have a country twang to me. I do talk a bit country. However, it was very intoxicating. in a bad way. And it was very negative. So it was really hard to watch. And she certainly, in my humble opinion, as TMR would say, does come off very ignorant. Well, TMR don't say that. I say that. In my opinion, she does come off very ignorant. Not only ignorant on just general of how she talks, she does talk very ignorant. A lot of things that she say, and the fact that she keeps calling herself a good mother, that was very disrespectful to all the other good mothers that I personally know, including myself. But for her to say, I don't know what she felt like was a form of good mothering, in my humble opinion, but it definitely did not assert mothering in the least bit. And it damn near had me questioning, like, am I tripping? I mean, does she really believe this? Does she really believe that she's a good mother, or is this just like some type of practical joke? Is Ashton Kutcher gonna run out and be like, surprise? Boogity boogity boogity, but it was very it was a lot. And then children were yelling in the background, children fighting, and it's a certain thing of logic, to go live, and it's one thing to put out the information, but there is a such thing as an edit button. And I think that a lot of these mommy and family channels need to really do extra editing, if you don't want certain things to be seen, but the creator knows what they're doing and exploiting you and exploiting, or revealing, I should say, and how you really get down. And just looking and listening to that, I mean, children running everywhere, and it's certain things that I mean, and I'm trying to take into account that as a when you are a younger mother, a lot of times it can be difficult. I know it was hard when I was raising my first set of children, and how difficult it can be, and certain things you don't necessarily understand until you get older, and you be like, man, I should have never did that, right? And so a lot of times as a mother, we try to cut these young ladies and young fathers a break, because especially when you're older, and you try to give them a break, and you try to say, well, but nowadays there's so much information out there, so much information that you can see blatantly in your face. It's not like back in the day, but you can see uh, certain things that they talk about that are abusive, and certain things that they talk about, or um can be a crying shame. And it's just like, so at what rate? I remember when my Jazzy Life, when she was asleep, and one of her children, I guess, allegedly let the police in, or left the door open, and the police just walked into her house, and they asked her a question. They asked her, and she was just talking about the reactors and complaining like her usual, per usual. And they basically said, well, is it all worth it? And so I would have to ask, is it all worth it? Because your children are going to have to go to school, and they're going to have to see this. And it's like a gazillion reaction videos out there. And it's other channels, not only reaction videos, but it's channels that are exposing certain things that occur into these videos. And they're showing every detail, and bringing up stuff you can see on small and big screen. And you begin to start questioning, like, should some of these folks just get regular jobs and quit social media? But it's too late. All the information is out here. And then I kind of think about CPS, and I think about how we see a lot of times, and you just kind of question CPS, like, what is every state has a certain criteria, and you don't necessarily know. Even if CPS is called, you don't know exactly if CPS gave them a list of to-do list where they said to do this, and they completed that, and they don't none the wiser, because they don't have to share all their information, right? So a lot of times, it's just hard to watch. It's just hard to watch. It's plastered all over the place. Then the children have to grow up, and eventually they're going to see this, and Again, I told you how, we all know, it's not just me telling you, but we all know that these children can be cruel, and children can be cruel, and they can say the most cruelest things to your children. And not only children, but the teachers are saying and seeing things and calling in on you, and could say something like, hey, I saw your mom's video, and what's going on with that? And I don't know, it just begins to be exploitation and manipulative. And at what risk do we make this money for our family? And the children don't really have a choice in the matter. They don't have a choice in what you put out in information. There's certain things like medical wise we should discuss. And I know sometimes that we talk about certain things medical with our children, especially if you have been exposed to the autistic world, right? And so we discuss autism, so to bring awareness, right? And then there's other times of it just can become exploitive, where we have to figure out a fine line of what exactly is exploitation, and how do I not do that within my own family? How do I not me per se, but I'm just saying in general as a whole, how do I not share too much? Because there is a such thing as oversharing. So how do I try not to share too much, because I don't want to, because you don't want to exploit your family further. You don't want to do the same things that they did way back when. And you don't want, because like a lot of these channels are minstrel shows. Let's be honest. My Jesse Life looks like a minstrel show. Liv's Life looks like a Lit with Liv looks like a minstrel show. And you know what a minstrel show is, right? And so it's just almost, and I know a lot of times, you can just click off the channel. You don't have to watch this, you know. But again, unfortunately, in society, including me, unfortunately, we like to see a good train wreck. And we know that eventually YouTube is gonna shut a lot of this stuff down. You're gonna have to not be able, you're gonna get, it's gonna get to the point where YouTube is gonna get sued more times. And more people are going to be sued, and CPS is going to get involved in more of these family channels. And after a while, you're gonna have to start paying your children. You're gonna have to have a separate bank account for them, because you're exploiting them. You can't just pay your bills, but you have to do stuff for them, say for their college. My Jesse's Life, only thing she's talking about, she's not talking about her children going to college. She's talking about her children starting other social media, like. She's not giving the children a choice. So you're forcing your children to live vicariously through you. And we'll talk about that next time. And I get more into what I think about her energy of living through her children, and how she's pushing her children to be something they don't necessarily want to be, and you can tell. But that's another conversation, in my humble opinion. So I find it, so in a little while they're going to get strict on it. They're going to have to put a certain amount of money set aside for the children, because that's just like a lot of celebrities. Think about a lot of these celebrity children who exploited before, like the Honey Boo Boos of the world. But you had like Gary Coleman. Remember, he had to go to court and sue his children and become emancipated, right? Because his parents basically, when he go to his account after a certain age, and he figured he had all this great money because he worked his butt off. He was acting in different commercials, the Burger King commercial. You remember back in the day? Plus, not only that, he had like different strokes, and then he did certain guest appearances on the Facts of Life, and just different things and different shows. He played in he was on Give Me a Break at one point. He started on there. He started a lot of things. I think like Love Boat too. A lot of different places, and they paid him hefty because he was popping back then. His star was starring. So because of that, he goes to do all these things, and guess what? He goes to his bank account, and his parents spent all of his money. Because nobody's really going to My Jesse Life to watch My Jesse Life. People are more interested, let's be honest, people are interested in seeing her and Chris fail at their relationship. but they're more interested in her children. That's one reason why hanging with my Phil, her child's father, her other child's father, reason why people watch his channels, because they like seeing their children, because their children are some nice looking children, so they like watching that. The only reason why everybody watch Lives Life, unless they got drama. If they don't have drama in there, then they just want to see the children, because nothing that they say is really interesting. Like, you can't even, Jesse's Life can't even carry on a basic conversation. She could barely read, write, arithmetic, and anything. So, nobody really watches that channel, not for real, but just to watch a train wreck, just to watch drama, just to watch, just find out if Chris is going to leave her and when Chris leaves her, or to watch, if to see roaches go across the screen, or to see a dirty house. But other than that, nobody's really watching it because they're interested in what she has to say. Nobody cares about what Liv has to say. People watching Liv right now because they're waiting on her to spill the tea on My Jazzy Life, because they want her to confirm what people already suspected, right? Allegedly. So it's all exploitation, and it just has to be a balance of exploitation. So if you're going to give this child, because exploitation is basically not giving a person a choice, you're not giving these children a choice to even decide on whether or not they want. Jesse's Life don't give her mom a choice. My Jesse's Life mom was in the hospital. She exploits her whole family. My Jesse's Life's mom was in the hospital, and she takes the camera. Who in the hell want to sit up on camera in the hospital with tubes and different items up your nose, and you're probably naked up under the robe? I'm just asking. That is exploitation. It's a fine line in that. Like, how would you feel if you had your mother, and your mother just walked onto you, and you sitting up there looking crazy, and she just started taking pictures of you in the hospital bed and posting it on social media, and then talking about and having a whole conversation? It's just, oh my God, and just showing things that you don't want to see. Or let's say when you did something wrong, or you had a problem, you got beat up at school or anything, and your parents just took a picture of that and put it on film. How would you feel about that? My Jesse's Life wouldn't be okay if her mom was taking all those pictures and posting her on social media when she was younger at one point in time. Who wants to see that? Who wants to, so it's certainly just a fine line, and her discussing the HIPAA rights to her children medical records. Like, and then every time you see her, she's at the emergency room and she's showing all that. She's taping the CPS worker come in there on video. It's just so much, and it just becomes, it's certainly exploitive, in my humble opinion. And so YouTube has to begin to start making these channels, these family channels. If they're going to exploit their children need to be paid. They need to pay them. Jesse's Life children should be paid for. Not just her family needs, or her feeding gravy train to herself and that big hip dip man, but she should also have, children should also have education. They should always have new clothes. They should always have something. And viewers should be able to claim in taxes on these children, because everybody's supporting them, right? Not just through watching the video, because we're support, that's a form of support, but they're financially debiting in to her, and things like that. So that has to certainly be looked at, and you have to question. So we have to think about the morals, and what are the intentions? What are your morals for doing this? What is your logic reason? Other than, yes, you're trying to make a living, and she said she was building memories. Well, hell, if you building memories, just take a damn picture. I got cameras. I just bought some cameras. I bought like a film camera. I'm old school. And I bought another little camera. I'm getting ready to give me a really expensive camera, well, expensive one for me. And then later on, I'm gonna buy a real expensive one. But right now, I'm upgrading. And so, you have to question those things. If you're trying to build a memory, then do a photo album. That's what we used to do. We did photo albums. But it's a certain fine line, and we have to just be careful of that. Because anything I do, and like most of you all, we do for our family, and we're doing to make a living. It's just a fine line in that, and we have to figure out as a society, and certainly YouTube has to figure out how to do it where where they start putting the laws down on these family channels, because some of this stuff is outrageous. And Matt Jesse's Life, in my humble opinion, you're one of the ones that definitely need to be looked at, because you exploit your children way too much. You exploit your whole entire family online. And to be honest with you, I've even seen her exploit Chris. Chris does not want to be on channel. He does not want to be a YouTube channel, but you wangling and dangling that carrot in front of him like you ain't get this, you ain't get this, in my humble opinion. Unless you do this. And it's just, it becomes a crying shame, and children should not always have to be on film for every little detail, for every little thing that happens in their life. Some things they might actually do something really great and wonderful, but they might not want it on film. But My Jazzy's Life, oh no, they don't have a choice with her. They just jump in her face, which is why I say it's exploitation. But anyway, I've been jabbed and jabbed and jabbed my mouth. I think I'm gonna get open the offer here because it's time. But anyway, thank you for so much for coming on to my channel and looking at me yab. I really appreciate it. And I really love each and every one of you all for checking me out, because you could have been somewhere else with your life, but you chose to come here. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Death is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The cemeteries are full of people who've passed from a preventative illness. With the correct approach, you not only extend your chances of preserving your life, but you will improve the quality of your life with the natural approach. The earth provides energy healing herbs for the benefit of mankind.
Hello, I'm Amira Senko Kwali here at As Life Coaching Ministries. We're located at 1921 West Broadway. We've been in the healing business for over 20 years. To order my products, go to www.as314life.com. I'm available 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Namaste.